Hi everyone. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Ian. I'm working at the University of Alberta as a master's student at the ASGAARD lab under Corpol. Today I'm going to be talking about automated testing for subtitle accessibility in games. Start. Subtitles in games. Subtitles today are used by everyone. This is probably common knowledge for all of you, but New Dawn booted with subtitles on by default, and 97% of players didn't turn them off. In other games, which launched with subtitles off by default, more than half of players turned them on. This is reproduced multiple times. So these are a feature that is used by about everyone, and it's critical to ensure that subtitles are correct and that they match the audio experience. So we have to ensure that subtitles are actually present when they need to be. And as was reported in Can I Play That, this doesn't always happen to be the case. Hitman 3 appears to be missing lots of subtitles in a new bonus mission, which probably makes it a little hard to find out crucial information, or is just jarring for those that are expecting them to be there. Subtitles also need to be aligned. So subtitles need to match dialogue. And in this Reddit thread, I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed this, but I'm replaying Red Dead Redemption 2 with subtitles this time, and sometimes what the characters say is nowhere near what the subtitles say. Other people had, in fact, noticed this as well. And we need to ensure that subtitles are typo-free. We got to be clear on this. He don't take kindly to strangers. And we can see common mistake here. 2 is not correctly spelled. This was also noticed on Reddit. So players are noticing when subtitles are incorrect. Subtitles have bugs that make it to release. And we can imagine that these aren't all the bugs that we would have seen, and they have to be verified during development. Why is ensuring correctness hard? Visual cues and subtitles are everywhere. Say, for instance, you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and you can speak to animals, and you will know you can speak to squirrels in Baldur's Gate 3 with branching dialogue. All of these dialogues and subtitles have to be verified. There's text in just about every part of the game, from the tutorial to the end of the game. So in God of War, we can see some text talking about quick turn. Subtitles also are not just seen as audio files and stored in a database, but they're presented in the game by the engine, and so they can be seen in many scenarios. Say, for instance, in Destiny 1, we see this yellow font subtitle, or yellow colored subtitle on a snowy background. The player rotates. We could also see it on another patch of snow and be equally terrible. We can also imagine that the player could swap armor or their gun, and this would change the way that the subtitles look. The process of manually checking subtitles becomes tedious. Checking barks in San Andreas to checking long blocks of text in XCOM. Like I said, there's a lot of text and audio to verify. So this becomes a long process. We automated subtitle verification in our paper. We came out with a tool that extracts speech and text from videos and compares the two to ensure correctness. An input is a subtitled scene. We extract audio, and we extract images of the scene, and we can extract the text from both of them to compare the two. Here, both of them say so much better than us. So we have a perfect match. Our automation uses two types of models. The first is a speech recognition model, and the second is an optical character recognition model, which is also known or can be called a text recognition model. OCR models read text from images, like text on a receipt. So say we have this Walmart receipt, we want to get some crucial information from the lines in the receipt and store this in a database. Well, we can find out that the receipt is from Walmart and store that. Might be interesting. We can equally apply OCR to any type of image with text. So some people use this for identifying road signs in driverless cars, and we apply this to extracting subtitles in cutscene images. Speech recognition models output text from audio. So we take an input audio wave, we pass it through a network, and we get "I used to be an adventurer like you" from Skyrim, from this dashing former adventurer. Our tool reports any missing subtitles automatically. So our inputs from the audio and the images of our cutscene or our subtitled scene, we get one that says so much better than us. The other, let's say, is missing the word so, and we report that there's no match for this word. We also can report misaligned subtitles automatically. So if our former adventurer is saying, "I used to be an adventurer," but we have a mismatched audio and text, and our text says so much better than us, well, there's no matches for any of those words in the audio. We also report subtitle typos automatically. The audio says so much better than us, and the text reads so much bitter than us. Well, there's a partial match there that someone should check. We learned a lot automating this process, so we'll share some of that here. First, we found that OCR is not very good at extracting subtitle text, at least not as good as it is in extracting text from receipts. Say, this text from Cyberpunk 2077, Takamura, "Hey, I was listening to that." That's what we expect, and what we get is a bunch of noisy characters. There's tilde, there's a little bit at the end that isn't actually in the subtitle, and this comes from elements of the background that OCR models represent as text. This happens because subtitles have different colors, backgrounds, sizes, so they can look like this as they do in Tomb Raider, they can look like this as they do in Dead to Rights. OCR can have more trouble with one than the other, but across the board, we saw OCR has issues with extracting subtitles. Sometimes subtitles have multiple colors, which OCR tends to miss. So in Modern Warfare, here the speaker is in one color and the text is in another, and we found that this causes issues in the OCR models that we tried. And sometimes subtitles clash with in-game prompts and backgrounds. Say in Metal Gear Solid here, we have a triangle prompt overlapping with our subtitle text, and OCR is going to have trouble reading this section. So we applied a pipeline to make OCR accuracy higher due to these challenges. So imagine this input, stranger so much better than us, so much smarter, has this background. We can imagine that the original image was the entire crop of the image. And we take a subsection of that and apply some processing techniques to get something closer to our Walmart receipt, which OCR does a lot better at reading. And we want to make sure our OCR accuracy is very high, because any mistakes in OCR means that we're incorrectly reporting discrepancies. We don't want to be like the boy who cried wolf, and we want to make sure that when we tell a tester to check something, it's actually incorrect. But we argue that sometimes mistakes in OCR should be checked, and they can point out readability issues. So for example, here, when we have another frame from the cutscene in God of War, Stranger's so much better than us, and I'll squint to read the last part, so much smarter. Even after our pipeline, OCR is unable to make out the last parts. We argue that some of these things should be checked. We found, on the other hand, speech recognition models work pretty well out of the box. So they can faithfully capture our former adventurer when they speak. But speech recognition models still make mistakes on video game character names. So Brother Dorkins here from Red Dead Redemption 2, we're speaking about him in an audio, and we get output Brother Dawkins, which isn't quite correct. So to address this, we used a trick used in the US Census in the 1920s to match words phonetically, which when census takers got names and didn't get the spellings, they would index them the same way. So SoundX is a phonetic algorithm for indexing names by sound as they're pronounced. Say we have one spelling for Stephen and the incorrect spelling for Stephen. We index them the same way. My dad's name is Stephen, spelled with a PH, just to clarify. So what do we look forward to in accessibility and automation? Well, first of all, we want to continue seeing games with correct and adjustable subtitles, where you can change the subtitle size, and you can change just about anything that you'd like to make sure that they're readable for you. So background colors, text colors, size. We want to point out that we think that there is room for automation tools and better standards. I'll point out that for web accessibility, there's an entire market of products that are out there. And this is primarily due to the focus of web content accessibility guidelines, or the WCAG, which promote different tools like this to exist. So Andy and SiteImprove are used to check automatically different criteria from the WCAG and ensure that our websites are accessible. Most of all, we look forward to playing with all of you. If you want to read more about our lab, you can scan the QR code underneath ASGAARD. And if you'd like to read the entire paper that we wrote on this subject and some of the nitty-gritty details, then you can read by scanning the QR code under Echo Test. Thank you.